a polarized society. It's not my colleagues in Heritage that had to be there on dividing the two segments of our people, but the church had to be there. The church had to be above it all. But instead of a unified or a coordinated policy development based on diversity and a competition of ideas, we have something quite different. And I quote a recent report of the Armenian Center for National and International Studies about the recent events in Armenia. It's nothing new for you. Domestic politics in Armenia remains hindered by a pronounced stalemate between the authorities and the opposition, and hostage to the petty nature of a political discourse dominated by the politics of personality and partisanship over policy and national interest. More troubling, Armenian society remains polarized by the unresolved post-election crisis of 2008, with the authorities unable or unwilling to respond to widespread demands for real change. Given the lack of legitimacy, and in spite of a lack of any popular mandate to govern, the Armenian authorities have increasingly been gambling on securing an external success. But as progress in the diplomatic effort to normalize relations with Turkey stalled abruptly, at least on the face of it in January, and with any real progress over mountainous Karabakh seemingly as remote as ever, the start of this year in Armenia offered little hope that the Armenian authorities would be able to garner that much-needed dose of legitimacy or forward success in the foreign policy realm. Over the longer term, however, the country's mounting socioeconomic divide of widening disparities in wealth and income, and the added pressure of budget deficits and rising foreign debt pose more serious threats to stability and security in Armenia. The most recent sign of such mounting economic pressure stems from a new trend of rising inflation and consumer price rises covering a wide range of commodities and basic staples. This also points up issues of strategic and structural deficiency, as January saw no improvement in the level of investment or remittances, and the government still seems unwilling or unable to take on the challenge of entrenched corruption and arbitrary tax collection. Hence what we need, and it's easy to register what we need. The answers, I think, have to be offered by you in your deliberations and fora like yours elsewhere in diaspora and in the Republic of Armenia, to transform our agenda, to give modern depth and contour to the Armenian agenda, building on traditional items of historical survival and national stability, but integrating into the traditional agenda a contemporary depth that is based on creative tension, a benchmark-based engagement where Armenians and our communities get to the order of the day of implementing and realizing policy and not necessarily jockeying with each other for photographic access to Armenia's president or the Secretary of State of the United States. This is serious stuff. And if we are to succeed, the national and the democratic agenda have to be one and the same. Developmental programs, rule of law, not as a motto or a line item, but as a real-life demand of the Republic of Armenia. Democracy issues, infrastructure issues. We're all proud of Gori Stepanakert and one of the few tangible results of Armenian diaspora relations that Professor Tololian reminded me of. But beyond that, there are issues of energy, of breaking through Armenia's landlocked status in creative, modern ways, where the true partnership of Armenia the diaspora can be tested. There were several opportunities, both in Turkey and in Georgia, to acquire ownership of port facilities and a variety of other infrastructural opportunities that we did not consider important enough to include on our agenda. This transformation, neither revolution nor evolution, calls for a new national paradigm based on basic human values. There's nothing a-national about basic human values. Vital national interests, individual liberties and expression, and democratic participation and governance. Our domestic conduct directly impacts our ability to articulate and implement foreign policy objectives. And it's here that civil society, diasporas, and individual Armenians of good faith and conscience can contribute in real time and in real programs to render Armenia a place where the citizen is crowned and rights rule the country. We have to put our own house in order without any scapegoating. If we expect justice of the world in terms of recognizing our history and our rights and our legacy, we've got to deliver justice at home. And when we do that, I believe that we will have a better time, an easier time, and a more effective outreach in sharing with our partners in the United States, in the West, and around the world our approaches and positions on issues of geopolitics, human rights, and the Armenian place in the world. In 1915, we lost not only 1.5 million of our forebears, we lost the homeland, a way of life, a civilization, where our people had lived for more than 3 millennia.